house here. Qirn taking an immediate save and quit. I think he wants the Sanctuary instead.
Alright, so blue mail early there in Sanctuary. That is going to be a really friendly way to start out your seed. These mails are super nice because we're going to be grabbing less hearts than we normally would have.
Right. The usual target that I hear thrown around for runners in this specific category is that they want blue heart or blue mail and about 7 hearts by the end of the game to really be comfortable. So getting that blue mail in your first check of the game sends you a long way on that regard and means you've got to pick up a lot less in the form of hearts and safety throughout the game.
Yep, and meanwhile we do have our first sword less than a minute in, so that's pretty nice too.
Yeah, that's a bit less convenient. You have to take the walk all the way up to the castle, as we've got one of the most stacked blinds hideout I've seen in a while. 3 Y items and some bombs and something in the back.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive. This is also a really nice spot to grab that cape. Whether or not we're going to need it for a bumper tablet and a sword, or a bumper cave, is yet to be seen, obviously. But either way, if the cape is right there, might as well grab it.
Yeah, it's a great safety item pretty much either way. We've seen 2 swords, so the odds that a third fails to show up along the way at some point is pretty low. And the cape's use as a safety is biggest in the Master Sword Ganon fight, where it's super useful, but still very reassuring to have that in your back pocket.
Kakariko continuing on here with a glove and a little bit of money.
Looks like it's just the northern part of Kak that's of interest to Qirn here, though. And I'd imagine saltyphry probably going to do the same.
Yeah, most likely. It's not terribly frequent that you'll see. That's a really nice knowledge there, especially on situations like this, because you're going to be picking up much less in the way of chests. Knowing spots like 50-50 bomb rocks and that sort of thing, incredibly helpful. It's also really helpful to go ahead and take a look at the tree pulls and your stun prizes and that sort of thing, which is also included in this spoiler log they've gotten a chance to look at.
Yep. Unfortunately, I don't think we're going to see much of any of that, because like our tree pulls are just small magic refills and hearts. If we get all the way up to tier 3, we do get vanilla red rupees, but not very useful and takes a lot of time to get for not that much gain, unless we need like clutch 100 rupees to get into pod or something.
Yeah, it's the tree pulls in this instance are much more of niche value, as we are 1 item away from Dark World access at about 3.5 minutes in here. So far so good.
Yep. And Qirn is not going to the dam with this walking. Something over in the desert for him in Agina's cave. Could be that last piece of Dark World access. Could be something else that's just real nice to have early.
Yeah, having progression over here is never friendly, especially when you're not given early boots or early flute, which we don't quite have yet. But in a spoiler log setting, at least you know it's there.
Yep. And just to recap for a bit while these guys move on to their next checks, the runners did get 15 minutes to study the log and prepare for this run before they started actually playing. But on top of that, they do still have the log during the run. They can refer to it however they want. And we did see the goods.
Yep, mitts on one end and a lamp and a bottle with a fairy on the other.
I'm not sure that bottle will really come into play as far as progression goes. Saltyphry certainly in no hurry to run it over to Sit Kid, which is the only place it really could be, but did come with a fairy in it, which is one of the better safety items you can get.
Yeah, most definitely. And the fact there's a lamp sitting right there, unless you're feeling just absolutely exceptional about both your magic handling with just a fire rod and all of your dark rooms, it seems kind of silly not to just drop down and grab it. And as you guys can see on the tracker below, we have Meyer as a crystal, so that's at least one set of dark rooms you're probably going to want that lamp for.
Here's something on saltyphry's side. Half magic and 300 rupees in that mini Moldrum cave. 0 in the way of progression, but a good stock of rupees, and half magic is one of the more fun items to have, especially when you've got a super early fire rod. But maybe the most important thing, it filled his magic meter. Like, Qirn has 0 magic right now. Even if he wanted to use that cape or that fire rod, he couldn't.
Yeah, that is a really good point. That's one of the few items that will completely and totally fill whatever it is it gives you. Everything else you're kind of stuck with, but when you get that half magic, you get a full magic bar, and that sometimes is more clutch than the half magic itself.
Yeah. Now we see saltyphry's into Agina's cave. So once they've got their mitts, we're actually going to be on total parity between the two runners as far as items go, except for that mini Moldrum cave check. And we're seeing now Qirn is slightly ahead on the route on account of not having that check. But where's he going? Looked for a sec like maybe Death Mountain, but I'm thinking it's going to be the Dark World for him.
Yep, with those mitts and the Moon Pearl and a whopping 4 hearts, we are running right into the Dark World.
Wonder if he's confident enough to take on Mothula with this equipment. Can reach the back, but 4 hearts, Master Sword. I know a lot of people that would shy away from that.
Well, that's what the fairy in the bottle's for. Hopefully we won't need it, but it's going to be a scary fight, that's for sure.
Looks like he's falling in here. You can farm some bombs off a couple of these pots, which is actually fairly common for the inverted mode of the randomizer. And he grabs one. Is he just going to be back out the front door, though, or is he going for something else? No keys, so it's just the door.
Yep, meanwhile, saltyphry is foregoing that to go ahead and grab the hammer up on top of the bumper cave. That's
okay, I see what Qirn was doing. In addition to that bomb he grabbed a small magic refill or 2 under a pot in that same room. So that's how he's getting his magic for this bumper cave check.
That makes sense, and that is really, really good. Oh, really good routing on Qirn's part here, because that's not something you're necessarily going to think of. So realizing that you need magic and then knowing where to get it on a quick basis, very good routing on their side. Meanwhile, saltyphry is really having difficulty here.
Yeah.
And so is Qirn.
This is a bit tricky of a walk to make, but it is 100% and totally in logic. The biggest thing here is that if you hold up, it's completely unintuitive, but if you hold up while going to the side here, you will fall in the pit. And there we go. Both runners got it now.
Perhaps one of the biggest meta differences between a regular randomizer race and these is that both runners are allowed to see what the other's doing. So I don't necessarily know that they will. Every runner has different preferences in whether or not they watch the restream or their opponent's stream or anything like that. And a lot prefer not to and just prefer to just play their game and not be distracted. But if they so choose, they are fully capable of going ahead and watching the other person's stream or watching the restream if they want to hear my terrible commentary over it.
Yeah, and I have a strong feeling that at least one of the runners is keeping an eye on things, even if probably not going to participate in chat because typing and playing is hard. But We do have Qirn went straight for the hammer peg. Saltyphry picking up the smith, but in the same area. That mirror, I can't imagine Saltyfry's going to skip that. And hello, Qirn. Qirn's actually in chat. I'm a liar.
Qirn just went and proved you wrong. But that's what happens when you pay attention. Qirn, come on, you gotta get the bullfrog before you can get the purple chest.
Now Saltyphry with this mirror, gonna turn in the smith immediately. Qirn gonna walk right back. And he is gonna turn him in as well. Oh, and Saltyphry is in chat too, saying hi, chat. And the smith is not the goods, so turning that in, we're getting the purple chest. You sort of said it already, but we're getting the purple chest.
Yep, smith just a means to an end here today.
And both runners taking the save and quit to deliver it. I suppose that's faster. I was speculating earlier that it might not have been, but I was very clearly wrong about that. That makes no sense. What was I thinking?
You were thinking that this seed was going to be fun. It distracted us all, I feel.
Yeah.
And speaking of things being faster, we're still on the lookout for those boots. Hello, wait.
That's a turtle rock.
Bombos?
That's a turtle rock medallion. Guess where we're going,
no.
friends?
Oh no.
Well, not going straight there at any rate.
Yeah, not quite yet. We still, at the very least, need the Cane of Samaria. We might just require the Ice Rod as well.
Well, good news is non-green pendant turtle rock means that we only have to kill Trinex if the answer is on Trinex himself or on the pedestal.
And it looks like we have a couple people headed straight into the pod area.
Yeah. Using that portal south of Link's house to go to pod feels a little bit bad. But when you have no flute, it's definitely superior to walking over to the flute spot for it. So, feels bad, but no way around it today.
Yep, thankfully both of our runners have more than enough money via the extra 300 that Saltyphry grabbed at Mini Moldorm Cave and the 300 that they both grabbed from the Smith. Money should not be an issue for the rest of the seed unless Zora is going to be a jerk today and give us something we actually need. Then Qirn might be hurt just a little bit. Oof.
Kiki not running away. Yeah, I think Qirn had to mirror there in order to reset Kiki properly. Because he got hit, which normally causes him to just run. But he just sort of stood there going back and forth.
I think Kiki was trying to go over that block and wasn't succeeding, if I had to guess. But I'm not sure. I've never seen that happen before.
Yeah, I don't know. But we did see a Cane of Samaria in that shooter room.
So it is simultaneously bow locked and will give you the item you need to get into Turtle Rock.
Saltyphry is going to do the... You normally do this glitch with a potion here, but he's going to do it with a fairy. Or not. I know that there are ways to do it with a fairy, but I believe it's at least somewhat tricky. And I think he's just decided it's not worth trying to figure that out.
Yeah, Qirn meanwhile just went ahead and did the save and quit and decided it didn't head back that way. So a little bit of time saved on that end. Qirn showing us that using the mirror right away is slightly quicker.
Yep. As long as you start like from the save and quit spot in the sanctuary instead of like walking into it from the back of the sewers, which is a thing in some modes. As long as you do that and you're just coming right off a save and quit, mirror will take you to the front door of the sanctuary. Just please don't do that in standard mode.
I did it once. It was so bad. It's okay. It was fun, and I laughed for a good couple minutes after I stopped swearing profusely. But yeah. It's one of those mistakes you're going to make once, most likely, and then hopefully never, ever again after that.
Yeah, it's like flooding the key in Swamp Palace or taking the quick route in the Turtle Rock Fire Rod room without a hook shot and so on. You get one.
Get one. I make both of those mistakes pretty regularly, so I hope I get more than one.
The good news is that flooding the key in Swamp Palace is now a recoverable mistake, so you get as many as you want.
That's just if you know how to do the bomb diver down, which is an absolutely fun glitch. I personally prefer the icebreaker because it fixes Ice Palace, but diver down is a wonderful glitch as well. We are going to hopefully see diver down today. No word yet on icebreaker since Ice Palace is in fact a pendant.
Yep. Well, diver down is great. For now, though, we've got a Tower of Hera on our hands here. Using that mirror to get up. No hook shot means no Hera pot fun time, so Qirn and saltyphry both going to have to climb this tower normally.
Yep, and we have a race here, a little race thing that is slightly less common for spoiler log stuff. We are 17 minutes in and don't have a dungeon clear yet, so this seed really wants to either force our runners into some low health situations for either TR or Skull Woods, or if we want to get further progression, we really do have to run around quite a bit.
Yeah, the good news is that we're in a dungeon now, and it's a crystal on top of that, so we'll have our first one before too long. Nice walking through the top of the bumper there by Qirn. You see that with the boots semi-regularly by top-level runners, but just walking straight through it seems a lot less common.
So I do have a question with that, and you might not know off the top of your head, but is running less precise in terms of the lineup, or is it the same lineup and just less people do it without the boots?
As far as I'm aware, it's the same. Just the boots may be a bit easier to set up due to the charge time on them, letting you confirm your position. Not 100% sure.
Wow. Hello, Flute. That's an interesting place to find that.
Yeah, Flute behind the lamp on Death Mountain. Never fun, frequently a thing. That is our first crystal before the 19-minute mark. And now we're on over to the east side of the mountain with that hammer. So how many things are going to be over here before we inevitably go into Turtle Rock?
I mean, hopefully we'll get, like, I don't know, a sword or some health or a bottle or something.
Hello, sword.
Uh-oh. Well, there's a sword. I don't really like the idea of 4-heart Turtle Rock, regardless of what mail we're wearing. And I don't even have to do it. I just have to watch it. I still don't like the idea of it.
saltyphry is still on 3 hearts.
Yeah, well, saltyphry, I'm pretty sure, is certifiably insane, if I had to, I guess, so.
If he can do it, saves time, right?
I mean, yeah. That is why you will see top-tier execution from these races, because that's what it comes down to. If you can do it, then you can do it. And if you can't, then you're going to lose time. And it looks like Qirn is headed into here. The only thing he can get is that sword, so that is what we're going to be grabbing.
Yeah, should save a solid amount of time just on the poke kills alone, if nothing else, I would think. Just trying to kill those... Well, I guess they've got the fire rod. I was thinking trying to kill those with the Master Sword is such a pain. Takes so many hits.
But on the flip side, Saltyphry does have that half magic, so he'll be able to be a little bit freer with those fire rod shots.
Yeah. In that regard, it won't be a problem for him.
Alright, so now the question of TR is the same question that we have every time we have a pendant TR, whether it be spoiler log or non-spoiler log. How far do we have to go in here to get progression?
Yeah, it could be as... Well, I say it could be just these two chests, but Saltyphry and Qirn now did grab a key. So that implies we're going to at least change humps. Like, that's the bare minimum here.
And like you mentioned before, Saltyphry has already made his one mistake in terms of going the wrong way without the hook shot, because he didn't do it that time, so everything's good there.
That Quake Medallion doesn't actually open anything for us this seed, but it is right there. And that's a second key. So if we skip the lava chest, which is probable because it's one check, what are the odds it has something? And we steal the key from the pokey in the room just before, we can now get to Laser Bridge. Assuming the big key is not vanilla.
Yeah, Turtle Rock routing is fun. And Qirn here not having half magic is going to have to be a little more judicious with that cape.
And there's the big key, so if we steal the one key, we can go to Laser Bridge. And the only things in this dungeon we cannot check are... Well, I say that. We can check everything in this dungeon. Like, it's just a matter of, do you want to skip the lava chest, or is there something in it that makes you take time on it? I'm thinking way too close to key sanity lines here.
I mean, when you're walking into a pendant dungeon and you know everything that's in there and where it is, you kind of have to think in terms of key sanity, because that's what you're playing it like. Only grab as many keys as you need, only go as far as you need, and then get out.
Yep. Here's the key steal and skipping that lava chest, so if we do pick up an extra key at this point, that would allow us into Trinex's room. We don't have an ice rod, though.
I thought the ice rod was always on Laser Bridge.
Do not have, will be getting in that case.
I mean, I'm just saying, I don't remember where it is. I look at these logs, I laugh at them, and then I promptly forget where everything is, because it's how I do stuff. But yeah, it tends to be... Oop, he gets bunny beamed again.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I guess he wants the big chest. He turned around in a way that... Oh, he doesn't have any bombs to blow this open with, and that's what he realized. Meanwhile, Qirn's got 4 of... Ow.
And Saltyphry looked the wrong way. Thankfully, there's a heart. Or a fairy, sorry. Oh,
Yeah.
and there goes the bomb.
That's very unfortunate for Saltyphry here. Meanwhile, I think Qirn just skipped the big chest entirely, and he's all the way into the crystal roller room.
Yep, and like you mentioned before, we are headed to Laser Bridge.
Yep. If Trinex is in the cards, then we need to see both the small key and an ice rod there.
which I believe, unless there's a small key in both the big chest and that lava chest, there is going to be one on Laser Bridge.
Qirn did not open the crystal roller chest, so hypothetically could be one in there. I know whether there is or not because I have the spoiler log in front of me, but...
Well, aren't you just fancy?
Well, there's party item number 1 and party item number 2. No Trinex, but a bow and some boots.
I'll take things that start with B for 500, please. As saltyphry did skip the big chest and mimic cave this go round.
Yeah, he was in chat saying that he miscounted keys. The big chest is a small key for Turtle Rock, so that would let us through the Trinex door, but without an ice rod, trying to go through that door doesn't mean very much. And even then, if Trinex doesn't have progression, it's a pendant anyways.
That's fair, but he would have still had to go down to grab the bomb from there anyways. He just wouldn't have had to use it there. That's really bad.
Yeah, it's hard to get through that dark firebar room without taking some sort of damage. Like, even with the cape, the activation delay on that is non-trivial.
As we just saw right there, it was just enough that saltyphry couldn't react to it in time.
Yeah. Now Qirn's got a flute, and it's looking like Palace of Darkness again for him. So we got that bow, or that Samaria, out of the first chest, which bow-locked the dungeon, and we had to take it to Turtle Rock to get our bow.
Yep, so far so fun. And that doesn't even include the cape to Bumper Cave, to Hammer Pegs, and then Purple Chest having required progression as well. Yeah, this seed, not so much.
Yeah, this seed is a really strong test of the runner's ability to execute in low percent situations. Like, Qirn's got a tempered sword, and they both got blue mail, but even on blue mail, you're playing 2-hit KO at best and 3-heart Turtle Rock.
Yep, and there's a decent amount of stuff that just does a buttload of damage regardless of what mail you have. Like those Medusas, that's going to be 1 heart. I don't care what you're wearing.
Yeah, same for these fire bars. I think the rollers are 2 hearts. I know that the pokies are 2 hearts because he got hit by 1 earlier. And just to provide a brief reminder of the format, since we've got Nightbot in chat giving out lies, this is the Link to the Past Randomizer spoiler tournament, in which both runners were given the spoiler log with 15 minutes before the start of the race, had that time to study it, prepare their route, and get ready. But this is not a piloted mode. These runners do not have people in their ears telling them what to do. They have access to the log themselves, and this is not key sanity. This is just normal rando.
Now, honestly, with the way this seed's going, I'm fairly certain both of our runners would love to have someone in their ear telling them what to do.
Yeah, maybe. Like, that was the format that the recently finished league used for its spoiler week, and that's where that Nightbot message comes from. But as a runner, it's somewhat stressful not having the route in front of you and having to rely entirely on somebody else to tell you that, even if it does let you just focus on execution. And we do see Qirn here. We've sort of glossed over this, but he's got 2 small keys and a big key, and he is hammer jumping for some flippers. And didn't want anything in the dark maze, so not sure there's anything else he wanted in the back either. We'll see. If he goes straight for the boss here, then there's nothing else he wants. And yeah, it's the boss.
Meanwhile, we have saltyphry grabbing a piece of heart. Not a bad idea. This seed seems to be very, very hesitant to give out full hearts to our runners. Thought about the sword and decided to not grab it. So
yeah, I think he knows he lost a lot of time with those unfortunate deaths in Turtle Rock. Maybe looking to cut corners at some point just to try to buy some of that time back, which is one of the more interesting things. Like saltyphry, we know he's watching this. He has been in chat, and he is fully allowed to do so and even adjust his routing based on what he sees. So, and it's fairly common when you know you're behind to maybe try to cut a corner or two. Although chat's pointing out saltyphry on 0 bombs couldn't get that sword if he wanted to. I completely neglected that myself.
Yep, totally missed that. Good call. That may have been why he went to go grab that first chest, just hoping it was bombs.
Yeah, and that goes into another aspect of spoiler log racing. Consumable management's a really big deal, because in normal seeds, you check everything, you've got more bombs, arrows, and rupees, and you know what to do within 95% of seeds. In this one, you're checking as few things as possible. You don't generally have the luxury of excess bombs and arrows and rupees.
Yeah, routing a spoiler log is a lot closer to routing an NMG, except for it's different every time you play it. And I think saltyphry was caught staring at his spoiler log there for a minute.
Yeah, there's a heart under a pot back here he can pick up. Yeah, he knows about it. And the good news is that even though he does have to blow open the attic, there are bombs under pots in that room as well that I'm certain he knows about. So, in addition to just that one. So yeah, there are bombs to be had in Thieves Town for sure.
Yep, Thieves Town and Pod are the two places where if you want bombs, you can get them. Just like Eastern's a great place to stock up on arrows.
And speaking of Eastern, we are getting the classic mirror combo play from Qirn here. Put down the Helmasaur King with minimal difficulty. And now he's just on grab the big key, grab whatever loot happens to be in this dungeon, and kill him some Marmos Knights. And then something else that I didn't call out at the time, but saltyphry did get the fun pixel through Thieves Town's Hellway there. Just got the straight dash through. RNG did not say no to him. And that's always fun to see.
Yep, no matter how good you are, that's always worth at least half a woohoo.
Yeah, especially because when you do get that pixel, and then RNG just sticks an anti-fairy or something there and says no anyways, that feels bad.
It does. It's one of those tricks that's both lineup and lucky. That's a nice place to find a full heart.
That's another nice place to find one.
You knew that heart was there, cheater.
You've got Qirn, what is it, like 4 rooms away from the boss fight? saltyphry entering his blind fight here. So for a few seconds, they'll be tied up on the crystal count at 2 each. And saltyphry... Sorry, go on.
If this blind fight goes south, I'm calling you a witch, just so you're aware.
Nah, he's good. He's got the script. He knows what he's doing. And he did it pretty cleanly. Obviously, getting that fight like 100% optimal is difficult even with the script for experienced runners, just because there are so many really minor things that can screw it up. But getting anything resembling that is good. And speaking of things that can easily go south, that Armos quick kill was well recovered from, but one missed shot means you got to deal with the red one, and that's just you hate to see it.
Alrighty, so that is 3 crystals on one side, 2 crystals on the other. Saltyphry is activating his duck, and we are off. Looks like we're headed back into the Dark World. Probably going to get simultaneous Skull Woods clearings, actually.
Yeah, we'll see whether Qirn goes north or south here. Whether he wants to do he wants to do Thieves Town first, which I don't think there's a huge difference between them, but we do know there's that full heart in Thieves Town, and even with Blue Mail, anything helps against Mothula because that's another fight that can derail really quickly.
Yep, although Qirn, with the Tempered Sword and the initial dash you can use on the Moth, could potentially take out half the health in the first couple seconds.
Yeah, he is well equipped for the classic blink and miss it NMG style fight, but it's one of those things. It's like an Armos quick kill or it's like a blind script, in that if you mess it up, it can derail itself. And Mothula is easier to mess up than either of those two things, in my opinion, even with Tempered Sword.
Yeah, Mothula also has a lot of just strict RNG in it, where for Blind and for Armos, if you do the same thing, they'll do the same thing. Mothula is not necessarily guaranteed in that. And that doesn't even speak about the arena that you're doing the fight in that can do whatever it wants to.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Moth fight is very random. And that's why it's so much easier for it to derail itself and go in all sorts of nonsense directions. Saltyphry making very aggressive use of that half magic fire rod combo against Mothula here, though. Got several hits in at the very start. Now that Moth's just staying in the corner. And there we go.
Okay, I was gonna say they're both running a little low there, but Saltyphry delivering the mortal blow before Mothula did.
Yeah, and that Moth just staying in that bottom left corner like that was just rude. But Saltyphry, good job clutching it out, finishing even with just that one heart left. That's all he needed.
Yep, and as chat pointed out, we are one item away from go mode on Qirn's end here, just needing the hook shot.
Saltyphry in a similar situation, just needing to go back to pod to get those flippers at some point, which he can practically do at his leisure as long as he does it before Swamp Palace.
Yep, but instead we are headed into Mire. And with no hook shot, the boots were actually required to get in here. Assuming that the hook shot isn't sitting around somewhere else that we can grab right now.
We do seem to have hit the point in the seed where the runners are basically just rushing dungeons on both sides. So I would not be surprised to find the hookshot in a dungeon of some variety. And speaking of blind scripts going awry there, Qirn lets him get down to the bottom part of the arena before landing the last hit.
Still not too bad, all things considered. Lost a little bit of time, lost a little more health than he wanted to, but overall, no harm, no foul.
Yeah, and as long as he doesn't die, which I believe he still has that fairy even that he's trying not to burn. So as long as you don't die, one heart is all you need. Same as we saw on Saltyphry's side with the Mothula.
Yep, I believe you are correct. I don't think we have seen that fairy on Qirn's side yet, so that's still a nice little safety in the back pocket.
Yeah, we can double check the next time he menus, which will be pretty soon here because he's got to switch to that fire rod. Somewhat decent big key placement on saltyphry's side for Misery Mire. It's not the bridge or the spike chest, so not a so-called God Mire, but not making us go to the cutscene chest and not making us double back to the right side. So could certainly be a lot worse.
Yep, all in all, it's ideal. Since we didn't have to grab anything required in any of those other chests, this is just going to be a shot straight back.
Yep. And we did see on Qirn's menu that he does still have his fairy. So 6 hearts, blue mail, a fairy in his back pocket. Gotta imagine he's feeling somewhat comfortable. And how did that Samaria block get there on saltyphry's side?
Yeah, I got nothing. Reg, do you have any idea how that happened?
I've got to imagine it's just something like he wasn't turned for long enough before placing the block. Because, I don't know. You see the same thing occasionally with arrows or similar, where you just fire one in completely the wrong direction.
Oh, see, I thought Link was just double jointed.
Yeah. And on Qirn's side, we did see a Mothula fight go slightly off the ideal pattern there. The Tempered Sword only needing 4 hits, so still able to recover pretty nicely. And for chat asking how we ended up with all 3 medallions and a spoiler seed, we needed bombos to get into Turtle Rock. That was where our bow and our boots were. And then inside Turtle Rock, Quake was in the roller room, the fire rod locked one, and it was right next to a small key that we needed. So they grabbed it. Now here's 8 arrows into Viddy. And what's our prize?
Eyeball gelato.
And the revelation of hard required boots.
What was this seed?
This seed was a party. That's what it was.
If this seed's a party, I think I'll just stay at home, thanks.
Well, yeah. I can imagine this seed being absolute nightmare to try to play without a spoiler log, going all the way back to that second glove at Aegina's cave. A lot of people would last location than that. But for now, we've got Qirn on 5 crystals. Gonna get his 6th, and the item that will allow him to get his 7th here off the Misery Mire boss once he gets the big key and gets back there. saltyphry only on 4 crystals, but gonna be able to combine Eastern Palace and Pod, as we saw from Qirn earlier, and he'll get the last item he needs to clear this seed in here as well. And then they'll both converge on Swamp Palace for their 7th crystal afterwards.
Yep, all in all, the rest of the seed is stuck before us at this point. Now it's just about not dying. Alright, so speaking of, since we have everything sitting in front of us at this point and we are just watching these guys plow through what remains of this seed, I'm going to go ahead and give you guys a reminder. Give these guys a follow. They are absolutely ripping through this seed with 6 hearts and 4 hearts respectively, and with a couple of safeties that they each prefer. saltyphry with the half magic, Qirn with the sword advantage. So go ahead and give these guys a follow. They're doing a great job, and this is not easy to do.
Yeah, and then also big shout-outs to our tracker, Valady, while she's here. She's the one pressing the buttons, keeping everything straight, keeping that tracker lit up so everybody can see the state of the race at a glance. And we've got Qirn. I forgot to check for it when he first fluted over here, but he's got the spooky action glitch here. which lets him hit the crystal switch by hitting that poor anti-fairy with the fire rod, saving him about 10 seconds total over Saltyphry, who did not use that trick. So, bit extra advantage for him there.
You know, I don't know if that bonk was intentional or not, but it lined up really well.
And then with only 4 hearts in hand, Qirn using the cape instead of the traditional damage boost strats. And he's got all the eyes down really quick there. And then he's just plopping the same 8 arrows in. You'll get his hook shot, and that'll be it for him. Just a straight rush to Swamp Palace and whatever other safety he may want, if any, to finish this seed out. Salty taking a walk through the dark maze here, skipping both the chests, just going for the big one. You'll get his flippers, and then he'll be in boss rush mode as well.
That's another time save that Qirn did by going ahead and doing that hammer jump.
Yep, even needing a few buffers on it to get it perfectly lined up. Probably still faster than going through the maze. So, just small advantages here and there building up. And that combined with the unfortunate deaths that resulted in Turtle Rock for Saltyphry, I think why we're seeing Qirn enter his 7th Crystal Dungeon as Saltyphry is still wrapping up the Eastern Pod area.
Yeah, that's, I mean, the problem with these races is that because we know where everything is, you're not going to make up time on having your opponent last location item or anything like that. So when you do something like have a really unfortunate death or two in Turtle Rock, it really, really hurts.
Yeah, and that's why, as a competitive mode, I rate this mode as the most difficult format of the randomizer. Like, there's the stress of routing, which everybody loves, but the execution requirement here to play this at the top level, like, you've got to be that good at the game. And you, like you said, you can't make it up by out-routing the other guy most of the time. Like, you may be able to gain small optimizations here and there, but you're not going to pull, say, an Ice Rod out of the Graveyard Ledge that your opponent's going to last location and win a race that way in this format.
Spoiler, the Ice Rod was on the Graveyard Ledge. Thank goodness we didn't need that.
Honestly, even if we did need that, it wasn't that far out of the way. The mirror at Hammer Pegs, we could just walk the purple chest up there, save and quit, and have gotten it. But don't need it at all. Way slow, so why bother?
That's fair. It would have been kind of silly, though. You grab the cape to grab the hammer from the bumper ledge, to go down and grab the mirror, to go back up and grab the Ice Rod. That's just... ugh.
Yeah, that's a little ugly, but Saltyphry, Dead Helmasaur King with 4 spins to the Jewel. Qirn setting up Diver down here in the back of Swamp Palace, has not opened a single chest in this dungeon since the key. I think he was just a couple pixels too far to the left there, which meant the explosion didn't hit him. And yeah, using Diver down there just to avoid having to unflood the room, which is a minor time save.
Well, isn't that a convenient spot for silvers? Oh, that's a terrible... Wait. Oh, that first bow on TR... Oh, yeah, that's not... Oh, that bow was logically required.
Yep. If these runners had gone to pod the first time with a potion instead of a fairy, could have sequence broken it, but then they'd still have to make the trip all the way to Laser Bridge anyways for the boots, so would not have been worth.
Yeah, it wouldn't have mattered, and without the bow, you still wouldn't have been able to complete the dungeon anyways. Argus
Exactly.
getting half annihilated there. Very nice.
Yeah, that zero cycle kill strat is really impressive to see pulled off correctly. And even with Qirn dropping it halfway through, still really nice. Saved him a good bit of effort there. And 1 silver arrow for a map, and a 7th crystal.
Alright, so here we go, guys. If you've seen any kind of randomizer before that wasn't Key Sanity, you know the rules. There are 22 locations in the back of GT that might contain that big key. Don't give me a number, because we're not going to be checking a whole lot of chests today. Hopefully we'll only be checking 1 or 2. Instead, I need you to give me the location. If the room has more than 1 chest, give me a specific chest. So, Reg, my friend, did you look at GT in the spoiler log today?
I did look at GT in the spoiler log because I was curious about those boots before I realized they were hard required for Meyer.
Yeah, okay. So I didn't. And I very pointedly do not look at GT because I enjoy guessing incorrectly like the rest of you. So since I can't ask you what your guess is, I'm going to go ahead and throw mine out here. I'm going to give a shout out to Mercer, who is actually calming another race today, right now, so to speak. And I'm going to go ahead and say that that key is in its vanilla location, because that's his favorite place to guess. So that's what I'm going with today.
That's a valid guess. It's got a 1 in 22 chance of being right.
Yep, 4.5%. Here we come. I have an absolutely ridiculous just ability to get really close to these keys every freaking time and be like 1 key off. As saltyphry actually struggles with the quick kill there too.
Yeah,
so I wouldn't be surprised to see in that room and like a chest to the left or a chest to the right, honestly.
Yeah. saltyphry dropped his quick kill in one of the stranger ways I've seen. He fired 1 too many arrows and wound up killing the one he was trying to prime with just 1 hit left. Which was... yeah, that's unfortunate too.
I mean, if I had $1 for every time I did that, because there's quite a bit of a gap between the time that you hit the button and the time that the arrow hits the guy. So if you're not really paying attention, you can shoot that 3rd arrow because you're still thinking it's the 2nd arrow, and then I've done that a bunch. So
yeah,
it's not uncommon.
It happens, and it feels bad when it does because, in a sense, it's like you lost the quick kill for being too good instead of for missing.
I'll tell that to myself next time I do that. Qirn is going right.
Getting 2 keys. That's pretty convenient.
Never mind, I thought my guess was right out the window.
Nah, like, if the keys line up, then going full right is at least as fast as going to the left. So,
based upon execution familiarity, yeah, because not very many people go full right.
yeah, that's a factor for sure, but it is fewer rooms to go through. But do have saltyphry in Swamp Palace looking for his 7th crystal. Gonna check, presumably at most 1 chest from here on in. So he's looking to see what time he can make up on Qirn at this point. Which,
yeah, and with the sword disadvantage, that's going to be difficult.
yeah, he may grab that sword going into GT. Qirn grabs a baby shield. It's like, at this point, it pains me to say it, I don't think there's enough time left in the race for saltyphry to out-execute and completely close the gap. But I'm still looking to see how well he can play to it, and at least to what extent he can close it between here and the end of the race.
And there we go. Bottom left in rando room. So no, I
Fun
won't
fact,
that.
that's my favorite big key location.
Well, it's unfortunate you looked at it then. That way you would have been able to guess otherwise, been right, and then had people say that you looked at it anyways.
Yeah, I'll live. Yeah, Qirn trying to save his health in this room and was trying to manipulate the crystal switch with Samaria. That pot in the way meant that he had to do some fun throwing, but he's through. Because he's got the exact 7-heart blue mail total that I called out as the popular benchmark near the start of the seed. And those spikes do fixed 1 damage, so he was trying to preserve that to the best he could.
Yep, but with tempered sword and silvers, I think our gauntlet isn't going to be too terribly hampered.
Nah, in the worst case, if you're really feeling the danger, you can just pull out a medallion. But I don't think we'll see Qirn resort to that. Words.
I wouldn't suspect so, especially not with that fairy in a bottle.
Yeah, and especially not with his silver arrows hitting those evasive Stalfos. Those sword beams are giving him a time, though.
Well, the Beamos relieved him of them, so that helps. Stealthos gonna Stealthos.
Yeah, I think this one was more a case of conveyor belt's going to conveyor belt. Saltyphry puts that silver arrow into Argus. We'll be joining Qirn in GT fairly shortly.
Ring around the road. Sorry.
And there's those red, I believe they're called Zyzax, cooperating perfectly, letting him basically just stash straight through that last conveyor room. And here's Lambos 2.
This is perhaps the fight that looks the easiest, that is the most difficult. It is the most deceptively difficult fight there is. Because it looks easy to either slap some fire rod shots or a silver into these suckers with that thing shooting, but they timed it so that it's at its worst spot, and it's really difficult to get your butt out of the way and then lined up.
That's why I love having the fire shield in that room. It helps a lot.
That's fair. Qirn, unfortunately, only got halfway there today, so...
Yeah, and his halfway there was 1 chest before the big key as well. So there literally haven't been any chests for him to open since then. And just to provide a recap for chat, since I see people asking about it, saltyphry is missing a sword because earlier this seed demanded that they do a very low % turtle rock to get boots and bow. saltyphry was very low on bombs at the time, so he could not reach the floating island to get the 3rd sword at that time when Qirn did. We're going to see if he goes for it now, and yes, he is. So he's going to close sword advantage here and have a much simpler time with the Ganon fight and the Gauntlet.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that just in terms of the Ganon fight, you're pretty much coming out even. Ha!
Hammer. He did the thing. He did the fake powder. Qirn, you're awesome.
And he used Reg's favorite safety. That is the mushroom. Ladies and gentlemen, we have Reg's favorite safety, and then a Moldorm 2 right in the tush.
Yep. That was... I love seeing that. I saw that once. I believe it was in a vanilla No Major Glitches run, and I've been in love with it since. But since chat's asking, the last sword was in the depths of Pendant Ice Palace, which we had no reason to visit this seed. So, not going to see it.
Yep, I believe it was the Freezor room. I'm not certain on that, and I don't actually have the spoiler log up at the moment, but I'm pretty sure it was
That is 100% correct.
So we just weren't going in there for anything today.
Right. The Magic Powder and the Cane of Burna were also there, which are fairly nice safeties, but as Qirn just demonstrated, we don't need no stinking powder.
Oh, Qirn, you just made Reg's night.
He absolutely did. Unfortunately, Agatu trying his darndest to unmake Qirn's night with some of these patterns and the blue ball shots.
Goodness gracious, yeah. The one thing the spoiler log doesn't tell you is how mean Agatu is going to be, and this one should have just said mean.
Well, that was a good pair of doubles at the end for Qirn. Neither of them counted for triples, but neither of them needed to.
Yeah, I believe that was a 1-1-0-2-2. Blue balls are not fun.
Yeah, that sounds accurate to me.
Alrighty, so this seed being a little more fun than we usually get for these spoiler logs, we are dropping down to make bacon out of the pig at just under an hour here.
Yep. Qirn dropping in on just 4.5 hearts to go with his blue mail. Does still have that fairy. Gets the Triton spin, so I think he's got the 1 cycle here. Yes, he's got the 1 cycle phase 1 and should have it for phase 2 as well.
Yep, Ganon, meanwhile, doing an attempt at a cereal commercial that was just earnest enough to be creepy. And you just had to say that he had the 1 cycle, didn't you? You just had to.
I thought he did, but I wasn't counting, and he didn't go for the double spin when the fire bat circle expanded. So, his fault, he lost it.
Honestly, I don't think you were the only person not counting at that point.
Yeah. He did use the fun strat of turn on the cape and hold the wall, though, which is why he still has like 6/8 of his magic meter after that. Or 7/8, excuse me.
Yep, for those of you who are unfamiliar, if you grab the wall and hold the A button with the cape activated, your magic bar just stays put.
And we've got some oh no silver. No torch glitch. Could not get up enough to get the slash to set up for the double. So with this position, it's looking like 4 singles for Qirn, but that's just fine. That'll put Ganon down.
Yep, so after this 1x3 bridge that Qirn has yet to pass, as soon as that is finished, you can go ahead and get your GGs in chat, as saltyphry is still struggling with those sword beams. I swear, they are the best, worst thing in the game.
Yeah, but that's Qirn across the bridge with a time of 1 hour, 1 minute, and 48 seconds. So, GG's to him. We'll have him in here in a little bit. And by a little bit, I mean right now. Hello, Qirn. GG. Congratulations.
Hello. Thank you.
So Qirn, I have an important question for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Do you prefer pork, bacon, or ham? Don't look at me, the Triforce
I
out.
already did it. Just smashed past it. If it's not the 7000 series train one, I just skip it. That one's the best one by far.
Yeah. We just unfortunately saw saltyphry take 1 too many BMO shots to the face, and I think it was the 3rd gauntlet room. Gonna have to restart that. But yeah, Qirn, powder, thank you.
Oh, the fake powder. Oh, yeah.
That was awesome.
It was, 100%. It was just that I realized I happened to go through with no magic, and I realized that I was planning on picking up the full magic drop. And I know you can make it through that block puzzle without taking damage optimally, but it's very tight to go past the anti-fairy. So I figured might as well just top up and make it easier on myself.
I live for getting to see people do that one live with the fake powder.
Oh, the best is I was in a situation once where I had no magic heading up to Turtle Rock that I had to open up. I didn't have any magic. I knew that the stun drop, however, was a full magic, and I had the actual powder, but I didn't have any magic. So there's no stunnable enemy on Turtle Rock at all. There is none. But what you can do is if you powder a dead rock, then it becomes stunnable by the boomerang only, not the hookshot. So what I did is I fake powdered with real powder on the dead rock to turn it into a stunnable enemy to hit it with the boomerang to get the full magic drop to open TR. That's probably the best moment of my entire life.
Okay, that sounds even more awesome. I am glad I got to learn that was a thing that existed.
Yeah, be prepared to pull that out, but never when that's useful.
I mean,
yeah, good games.
The knowledge and the situational awareness required to be able to pull that off is bordering on obscene. So, I mean, it doesn't matter if it's just once in a lifetime. You had the one time and you took it.
That's right. But yeah, I was worried about Turtle Rock too, and it could have been either one of us really that died in Turtle Rock there and shifted that race quite dramatically. And then it sucks too. I saw that he ran out of bombs for that sword as well.
Yeah. Like, that was just really unfortunate for him all around, because he got bullied around a bit in that 5-eye room that you do to go out before the big chest.
Yeah.
And he got the bomb under the pot there, but then lost it.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if the tempered sword was an even bigger deal than the TR death.
Yeah, I think the deaths would have caused the gap, but the sword differential went a long way towards not letting him make any of it up.
Yeah.
But I do have to say that, given the situation, he did a good job recovering and keeping things on track.
Yeah, no, I stopped dicking around in chat once I realized that I actually had a lead once he took a fall, because I was like, okay, if I lose now, like, I have to maintain this lead. So I did feel quite pressured by saltyphry. Like, I know that he was totally capable of closing that gap. So yeah, he did a great job, I thought. Like, I mean, I felt very pressured.
Yeah, and if you felt pressured as the runner, then I think that's definitely a testament to how well he did handle that situation.
Yeah, for sure.
It's also just a stressful race. You know, it's 15 minutes of just mentally screaming while you get the route ready and like play the game of, okay, what safeties can I get away with? What health can I get away with? What's along the way? How far out of the way am I going to go to get stuff? And then it's like an hour of screaming while you just really desperately try not to die.
Yeah, this one was particularly challenging. I was about 14 minutes into the study period when I realized, because initially it looks like you can skip the bow in Turtle Rock, and you're like, okay, whatever, boots are laser bridge, but obviously we're not getting that. And then you're like, okay, well then I can just bottle glitch to get the you know, and you could do it with a fairy, as you guys mentioned on stream, but you know, I can bottle glitch to get the flippers to then get the bow in Swamp. But the problem is that Meyer hard requires boots. And so once I saw that about 14 minutes in, I was like, oh dude, this is nasty. But yeah, I didn't even realize that it was a required double dip into pod still for Samaria. I realized that about like halfway through the race, and luckily I caught it before I got to that point in my planned route. But
yeah, I think it was about 10 or so minutes in as saltyphry is just getting bodied by Agatu as well. These patterns were not fun. But it was about 10 minutes into us just kind of casually flipping through the spoiler log. We were like, oh, wait, the hook shots on Vitreous. Oh, no, those boots are definitely required.
Yeah, I was racking my brain because I was like, I think there actually is some way to get over that gap, but I'm probably just remembering some major glitch or something, because I know that that question has come up for me before, and I was surprised to find out the answer. But maybe it's not possible with minor glitches. That's probably true. It's probably not possible with minor. Well, I mean, yeah.
If there is one, I'm not aware of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say the only other way I could think of to get across that gap would be hovering.
But then you have the boots. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not helpful at all. You just bonk it at that point.
Yeah, I will say we do have saltyphry in the Ganon fight here. I think he's outside the circle, but he's got multiple double spins here. I think he's got the one cycle here, which shame on you for missing, Qirn. I'm just going to say that out loud.
Well, you know,
Yeah,
everybody goes for the double spin there, and I'm just going to say that the dash strat is a lot harder, but it's much cooler looking, so in my defense.
The dash strat is definitely really cool, and I've heard multiple runners say that they have an easier time dodging the fire bats from inside the circle.
That's definitely true.
But when you miss it entirely, I'm gonna just... I may be a bit harsh on you for that, but...
No, that's fair.
Please.
That's fair. I mean, that is definitely the hardest RNG for me because I always go for the dash strat, but yeah, that's fair.
Saltyphry's got a brilliant lineup there. Didn't get the torch glitch so that he could set up for 2 doubles, and he's already got Ganon down.
Yeah, don't worry too much about Reg, Qirn. He's just salty because he called the 1-and-1 and then you didn't get it.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. And now we do have saltyphry in here with us. GG.
Thanks, GG.
GG, Salty.
Yeah, I don't know if you were listening when I was talking to Qirn about it, but in spite of what happened in and around Turtle Rock, I did think you did a really good job recovering from the situation after that and playing the best you could around it. So,
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, it is what it is. Like even if I hadn't made the mistakes with the keys in there, I still would have run into the massive problem of not having a bomb to be able to get to the end of there. So either way, I was going to have some big troubles, but it just kind of escalated from there. And then, then when I went to get the sword, I wasn't able to get that. So, yeah, bomb issues all around in Turtle Rock. That's the first time I've ever had those issues up there. The worst part was I could have gotten a couple bombs easy peasy right at the beginning of Turtle Rock, because there's one under the pot right next to the full magic there, too. So that's the real kind of kick in the you-know-what out of it all.
yeah, and routing consumables, bombs especially in a spoiler seed, is a total pain unless there's just a ton right along the way, because you're not getting all the incidental ones out of the chest you're checking along the way.
Well, I always
So
pay
really
attention.
easy.
Well, I always pay attention to it right at the beginning in terms of how many I need, like for the very beginning. But by the time I got to Turtle Rock, I usually kind of just assume I'm going to have plenty just from doing everything else. Like I'd been to Pod already, so that's usually a pretty good place to pick up a couple extra bombs as well. Although I completely forgot that I didn't have the bow there as well. And I kind of, because I was planning on kind of just picking up everything except for killing the boss the first time there. So I made a mistake there. So there was just kind of little mistakes all around in the end with this one. So it definitely wasn't my best work here, but it is what it is. I'll move on from here and just try to learn from it.
Actually, are you familiar with, were you intending to do the potion camera unlock glitch with the fairy there, or was that you were there and then it just turned out?
I got there and I realized, oh crap, I don't have the bow, or I haven't really done the potion or the fairy one. I've done it with a regular potion. I'm not sure how it works with the fairy exactly. So
Yeah, I don't know the details either. I know it's possible, and I thought you were gonna give the brief how-to on it and show it off for us, but oh well.
Yeah, that one is if you die by something that knocks you to the left, like a bomb or an enemy, then it's basically the same thing. As long as you're moving left while you die, then you get fairy revived, and then you just have to do the same thing. Don't press right, hold left out of that animation, and then go into the room and do everything else as normal.
that doesn't seem too bad at all.
Yeah, it's not bad at all, but it is one of those things where, like, sorry, go ahead.
I said just use a bomb and it should be easy peasy pretty much, it sounds.
Yeah, a bomb, or just leave a Bari alive, and yeah, but it is one of those things where you're like, I am not going to try to pull that out in a tournament race, unless I've done it before, you know?
The thing is, I really like the fairy in the bottle just in general in these spoiler log races, because usually it's just a good backup. Since I'm running around at such low health, it makes me feel pretty good just running around if I'm in the one-hit KO mode, that I got that backup. Because usually if you're in that mode, you're kind of just going a little slower, being a little more careful maybe than you normally would. So just having that fairy is always a nice backup, I find, in these spoiler log races when you get into that mode, because inevitably you're going to at some point in time, it feels like.
Yeah, no, I was going to say that too about like the TR death, and I don't know if you heard me, but I was saying like I felt like it really easily could have been either one of us, and that was my biggest fear going into the seed is, you know, not having more safeness, I guess, in TR, but you know, the fact that you took the death is like, it's just compounding, you know, because it's like, oh, well, now I have a fairy, and so I feel comfortable doing stupid stuff, you know, or whatever, because I have that backup. But yeah, and it's just like those things compound, and then you're like thinking about that, and you miss the consumables, and I don't know. It's just like when something starts to go wrong in a spoiler race, it's really, you know, it has such a ripple effect, I feel like.
Bombs are a lot harder to keep track of too, because rupees are easily quantifiable. Do you need Zora? Okay, that's 500. Do you need the Smith? That's 10. Do you need Pod? That's 110. It's all really, you can add it up, subtract it really easy. But like with bombs, it's like, okay, so if I'm going this far into Pod, do I need 3 bombs or 4 bombs? Like it's a lot harder to wrap your brain around just like quickly. Just like, okay, I'm going to need like 20 bombs for this run. And I can get 5 here and 5 here, and there's a tree pull there, so we're good. You know what I mean? Like and then the fact that you can only store 10 of them, it becomes really difficult. And if you run into a situation like you guys did, where you go into a dungeon that has a bunch of bombs, but you can't actually access them because, I don't know, something silly like the Cane of Samaria makes it bow locked, and you don't have a potion because the only bottle you could grab had a fairy, then you could sit there and very easily think, yeah, I'm going to get like 5 or 6 bombs because it's pod, and then just not get those bombs because we're locked out too early.
On top of that, some of those bomb doors can be open with the boots, which can kind of throw off your numbers as well, right? Like, especially some of the ones in pod and the one later in TR as well. That's one I guess that usually you'd probably dash through. So that's kind of one of those ones that you can catch you off guard if you don't have a bomb there. Like,
Yeah. Not being able to dash through that one in particular feels real bad because those black, tiny, whatever you want to call them, comes out of it. And it's like, why?
Yeah, that one does feel terrible, both on waiting for the bomb to come up and on trying to dodge the bats as they come through. But speaking of those boots, how about that sneaky, sneaky boots required seed right there?
yeah, it really was something. Like, theoretically, you probably could have gotten it, like, with a potion glitch, I guess. If the boots weren't required to get the hook shot, you probably could have gotten around not going into Turtle Rock at all, I guess, for that bow if you really got creative in the end. But yeah, since the boots were in there too, obviously you had to do that, so. Never fun going all the way to Laser Bridge to get it, but it is what it is. In the end, that's most likely going to be there just because of the way Turtle Rock works out.
Yeah, that was pretty nasty. Well, good game, Salty. I feel like I really lucked out this one. I feel like if we erase this again, I'm not sure that would have been the outcome. And we did like a practice race the other day, and Salty ended up hard locking, or it was a soft lock, right, in pod.
Something like that. I don't know exactly. Like, I guess I ended up flipping the crystal, or I guess it wasn't I didn't flip the crystal switch at the same time. But when I opened the chest, no key came out. I guess I think there was too many sprites on the screen or whatever. And then I couldn't open up any more chests. It wouldn't let me save and quit. And I didn't know what else to do at that point in time, pretty much. So I was basically locked at that point in time. I don't know. I would have had to reset.
That's a new
was
one,
really-
and that sounds miserable.
Yeah. I've never had that one happen before.
I saw that happen during the fall tournament. I think it happened to someone. Thankfully, it was an Agaseed, so they just like they just did a hard reset and just started back at the pyramid, and it was no big loss. But yeah, that happened, and I have no idea what causes it. But that's now the second time that I've heard of that happening.
I was actually very careful when I opened that chest this time in pod. I actually opened the chest before using the Cane of Samaria that time, specifically because that.
Look at those collection rates. 64 on Qirn's side, 56 on saltyphry's side. That is insane. Whew.
And 2 of those were accidents. I did not mean to talk to the blacksmith, and I did not mean to pick up.
Wait, don't you need to? Oh, right. You don't have to talk to the blacksmith. Oh, dude, that's Galaxy Brain. You did have 300.
You needed that money. Saltyphry got a 300 out of Mini Moldrum Cave alongside that half magic, so he didn't.
Yeah, no,
not talking to Smith is a real big brain fight your muscle memory thing, regardless.
Yeah, my plan was, I didn't even know it was on Smith. My plan was, when I returned the purple chest, to go to that gray rock there and then get the rupees I needed for pod. But then I was like, oh, cool.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, if you're doing the purple chest, you just gotta return him. Once he's back there, you're good. You don't actually have to get the item, but it's such muscle memory.
Yeah, I guess even thinking about it, that would have saved me time because he takes 10 rupees from you. Or no, he takes 10 rupees from you when you drop him off. I don't know how it works.
I think it's when you talk to him, but I'm not certain.
Anyways, I think I've said my piece. Hammer, do you have anything you want to hit at the end here?
I really don't. It was a great race by both of you. There were a lot of places, like just routing-wise, where you guys could have easily slipped up with all of the layers upon layers. And then on top of that, there was this stupid early TR. Let's just go in there with 4 hearts and blue mail, and good luck. So you guys both did really well. Those are really good times for this seed being as terrible as it was. So yeah, GG's to both of you. Like, congrats. And I'm looking forward to seeing you guys race further through the Swiss round here.
Yeah, good game, Salty.
Yeah, thanks a lot. GG. Best of luck going forward.
Yeah, same.
All right. So in that case, I'll take a minute to go through the speed gaming schedule for the rest of the night before we wrap up. We actually had 2 other spoiler log tournament races ongoing at the same time. I believe both of those have concluded by now, but I have not checked. We've got Final Fantasy Randomizer tournament on Speed Gaming 2 in about half an hour. Got a Link to the Past Randomizer daily race on Speed Gaming 4 in about an hour and 15 minutes. And we've got Kirby at 10 p.m. Eastern, which is about 2 hours and 15 minutes. And then more Final Fantasy starting 15 minutes after that on this channel to close out the evening. So, fair bit to check out, and no shortage of anything exciting to look for. So, I've been Reg, my partner's been Hammer. I'll see you guys over some other race, and I'll leave the last word to you, Hammer.
Thank you, Reg. As always, it's been great commenting with you. One last shout out to our amazing tracker who had to track at double time validity. It is a very, very hard job to go ahead and track during a spoiler log because everything is moving so fast. That's all I've got. GG's to the runners. Thanks for watching, and we will see you guys next time. Have a good one.